I call the member for Maitland. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Given that there are 4,362 patients, mostly children, waiting to have their tonsils removed, how can you justify to the parents of these children your decision to lavish $2.5 billion on Sydney Stadiums instead of providing for their children's surgery?
Madam Speaker, our government has spent... I'm sorry?
You're right.
Oh, sorry, acting Mr Deputy Speaker. Our government has spent more on health and health infrastructure in the history of this state than any other government, Madam Speaker, And Madam Speaker, the member for Maitland should say thank you for the new hospital she's getting.
The member rise on a point of order.
Deputy Speaker, could you please direct the Premier to address you by a correct title and not Madam Speaker, please?
Thank you.
Mr Deputy Speaker, what that point of order says is she's embarrassed about the question she asked. $430 million for a new hospital in Maitland. Say thank you for that because your government didn't do it for 16 years. Madam Speaker, they were in government for 16 years. We are now delivering for their electorates because they never called, Madam Speaker. Every time we wanted to recycle an asset to raise money to spend in the bush or in their electorates, they said no, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Premier.
Mr Deputy Speaker, I do think it is a slight on you when she keeps calling you Madam Speaker. I do stand by my colleagues as a member for Maitland, particularly in relation to your gender.
Oh, look, I can cope with it, all right? I won't take it. Thank you, Premier.
Mr Deputy Speaker, for the first time in this state's history, we have no debt and billions to invest in our communities. And we are spending... You left us deaf and deficit, and we are rebuilding New South Wales from the ground up. And each of you...
Is that true, Steve?
Mr Deputy Speaker, I ask that you stop the clock because clearly it's a spurious point.
She might be wanting an extension. Stop the clock, please. Now, sorry, member for Maitland.
Deputy Speaker, it's 129. I am asking about the 4,326 tonsillectomies that are required in this state that are not being funded because this Premier wants to spend $2.5 billion on stadiums in Sydney, which will not help your constituents, nor mine, nor any of those others in regional areas.
The Premier is talking generally.
And as an aside, the Minister for Health has just advised me and confirmed that we have the lowest rate of waiting times for clinical services in the state's history. But I digress from the infrastructure question she asked, and that is, Mr Deputy Speaker, since we have been in government, our state has seen record investment in schools, hospitals, transport, roads, and I have to say, we are a government that invests in all part of our community because we appreciate that it's only Liberals and Nationals that know how to have the budget in surplus and know how to raise money. Mr Deputy Speaker, when they were in government, not only did they leave this state in rack and ruin, but they dashed the hopes of every single citizen in New South Wales. What we have done now, Mr Deputy Speaker, is ensure the state's future for years and years to come. Now, when it comes to education and health, in relation to health, we spend $23 billion a year, which is up massively from what you spend every year, in addition to $7.7 billion in infrastructure. In education, and I will say this point because it relates to infrastructure, in their last budget, they gave education infrastructure a $270 million boost. Last year, we gave education a boost of $2.2 billion in one budget. That's 10 times what they left us in government. You need to look at the facts. And we have a record, in the next 4 years, a record $80 billion infrastructure spend. A third of that goes to regional and rural New South Wales, a third of that goes to Western Sydney, and a third of that goes to other parts of the state. And Mr Deputy Speaker, those opposite should be hanging their heads in shame. We have delivered what they couldn't do in 16 years. And I say to the people of New South Wales, there is more to come because we're only getting warmed up, Mr Speaker.